One of the things that helps with both memory and note-taking is doing the reading before class. This will give you a head start on the information and vocabulary the instructor will present during class. If the instructor is quoting the textbook, you get to relax and take fewer notes. When new information is introduced, focus more on taking notes. When you get settled in class, take a moment to skim over the notes from the previous class as a refresher. If the instructor summarizes the prior lecture, you don't need to take notes. When the instructor gives new information, focus more on taking notes. Listen actively. I'm going to talk about what this means in note-taking in a minute. Be prepared to take notes. If you're writing your notes, have extra pens or pencils on hand. If you're using an electronic device, make sure it's fully charged or have a backup power bank. Another important part of note-taking is thinking about your learning zone in the classroom. We tend to gravitate to our comfort zone, where we feel most comfortable in the classroom. Think about whether you need to sit closer or farther from the instructor to focus on the lecture, and consider where you learn best in the classroom. You may need to compromise a bit between comfort zone and learning zone. Active listening is the best way to capture important information. Your instructor is the best source of information on what may be important. They designed the course, wrote the lectures, and will write the exams. Observing your instructor will help you identify what they believe is important. Watch your instructor for verbal and nonverbal cues. For example, your instructor may point to key information on a slide, or their expression may change when they're saying something important. If the instructor uses gestures a lot, do those gestures mean anything? These visual cues can help you sort out less important information and enhance the usefulness of your notes. Verbal cues are equally important. Your instructor may use lists. For example, they may say, to start, blah, 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 or first, second. If an instructor starts counting, it's time to take notes. Instructors may say, note that, or this is important. They may simply say, this will be on the test. They may talk faster or slower when the information is important, or change their tone of voice, or emphasize important words. Be alert for these signals. In note-taking, ideas are important because they incorporate the concepts, opinions, and beliefs about facts. When an instructor wants you to apply critical thinking to a test question, they're asking for your ideas. Therefore, including main ideas in your notes is more important than writing down facts. If needed, facts can be looked up later when you review and update your notes. The question, evidence, conclusion lecture style makes it easy to identify key parts. The instructor will start with a question or idea for the class to discuss. During discussion, take notes when the instructor says things like, good point, or asks a student to say more. At the end, the instructor will summarize based on the evidence presented. Your notes should reflect the question or idea, any points students made that the instructor reinforced, and the summary. Don't be afraid to ask questions. It is best if you can get your questions answered during class or immediately after. Not all instructors have offices on campus, and they may be difficult to get a hold of outside of class. Even if you already know what the instructor is discussing, take brief notes about the topics covered. It won't help you if you don't remember the topics the instructor discussed in class when you're studying for an exam. We're going to watch a couple of video clips to learn more about what active listening as a note-taker means. Watch this clip closely. Observe the instructor's body language and gestures. Listen for changes in tone of voice.
We have arrived here with in your head. It's a really good dramatic story, but it's not a string of facts. So thus the fact bubble. It's not a fact bubble. The revolution obviously is a lot more than that, and you need to sort of almost be aware of the facts and then allow yourself to step back and look at the big picture. And John Adams and Benjamin Rush and others like them would have been the first to tell you, like, the facts, in a sense, are the least of it. So that's tip number one, is don't get lost in the dreaded Revolutionary War fact bubble.
Think about what you noticed. Did you see the instructor look down at her notes? When an instructor checks their lecture notes, it's time for you to take notes. Toward the end of the clip, did you notice that the instructor started to count? Tip number one. If the instructor is counting, it's time to take notes. This is a different instructor with a different teaching style. Watch and listen. How does this instructor emphasize important points?
That's partly because all sorts of institutions are functioning perfectly fine. Here we are, we're meeting, there's no problem of the supply of water suddenly, or scarce provisioning, or barbarians massed outside whom we have to sort of protect against during our class. It hasn't come to that yet. But if you look at the lives of ordinary people in the 3rd century, they're not saying, not another emperor, I can't take it anymore. The philosopher Plotinus, for example, one of the great intellectual figures of this time. Now, it's true, he has a very otherworldly way of thinking about things. He is a follower of Plato. He's the leading so-called Neoplatonist philosopher, flourished.
Did you feel that the instructor was chatting with the class at the beginning of the clip? Did the instructor look down at his notes? Did you notice the change in topic? When an instructor looks at their notes, it's time to take notes. Also, when the instructor points to a specific bullet point in a presentation or writes something on the board, take down that information. You can practice these observation skills by watching TED Talks or online lectures. I recommend you choose a subject you're not very familiar with. If you're already familiar with the information, you won't have to work as hard. I recommend that you develop this skill outside of class, then start using it during lectures.